Hello, and welcome back to On the Daily. In this episode, we are talking about this full moon in Pisces, which is also a partial eclipse. And I really love this full moon because this full moon sits on my north node. And obviously, we're in Virgo season, which is on my south node. So I'm feeling playful and fun. And so I wanted to tell you about it and how it might affect you and things to think about because the full moon is today. And so if you're feeling all the things, if you're feeling tired, if you're feeling also creative and playful, then this episode's for you. So listen up. Okay, so last week we started Scale to Six, the accelerator. And this program is a rolling program, so you can join at any time. But I have to tell you that in the first week alone, I trained them, I trained everyone inside. We had our first skills training and kickoff call, and I trained them on SLO, which is a self-liquidating offer. Basically, how to take your clients from a low ticket to a high ticket in your business. And I am uniquely qualified to do this because in my business, I have about 80% of my income comes from people who started with either a free or a low ticket offer and have since scaled to a high ticket offer. And client journey and client experience is something that I am very good at, but also something I'm very passionate about and something that a lot of business owners miss out on. So I train them on that. And then I also train them on the power of like a really highly converting email list. And so why is that important? Because when I teach it, I do it through the lens of that person's human design or that person's astrology, because not everyone's SLO or like not everyone's offer suite or scalability is going to look the same. And it's really based on what your human design and what your astrology says. So when people come into my business spaces, I give business advice I give business advice through the lens of whatever their human designer or their astrology is. So I got so many DMs after our first call, and it was like somebody said, like, this gave me so much clarity after one call. Somebody DM'd me and said that call alone was worth the entire investment. And I just like really live for those kind of things because it's like that feeling of, I really want to invest in this, but I'm really scared too. And like, what if it doesn't work for me? And like, can I afford it? And like all of these limiting beliefs that we have, all these thoughts that kind of run through our brain that try to stop us from making really big, bold, audacious moves with our life, like really hold us back. And then it's like the moment you decide to just go for it, the moment you decide to follow your intuition and join big spaces where you're not necessarily the biggest fish, everything opens up for you. And you just get this like wave of clarity that I love hearing about. So again, this container is open if you are scaling a business to $10,000 to $15,000 months and you want it to feel easy. You want it to feel not like you have to sell your soul to do it, and you don't want it built off of one-on-one clients where you have to give your time to them in order to make that money. Then this container is definitely for you. And you can either click the link in our show notes or you can come to my Instagram and comment the word scale in my DMs, and I will send you all of the information. But I promise you, it is the best $4,000 you will ever invest. And when you do, you will unlock so many things. So hopefully I will see you inside. Okay. Full moon in Pisces and what you're really going to be able to harness using this energy. So just to kind of give preface, this is a full moon and it's also a partial lunar eclipse. So we've entered eclipse season. And I think the energy that eclipse seasons, full moons brings to the collective is like emotional depth. It's always about spirituality. There's an emphasis on healing. There's an emphasis on release. Like, what are you letting go of? What is ending? What sudden insights are you bringing into your work, into your life, into your family? And then also paying attention to the revelations you receive. Like, what are you realizing that maybe you haven't in the past? And I think Pisces is definitely no exception to this rule. So it's definitely a time to let go of what no longer serves us, but especially around emotional and spiritual subconscious blocks. So any emotional loops you're caught in, any spiritual patterns you're caught in, any subconscious programming that continues to affect your life, this full moon today is really a time to like embrace it in a compassionate way, like really love these parts of you, but also understand that there are shadows to them and it's time to release them. So, all that being said, here are some like collective energy impact that I've kind of thought of, that I have like my notes here that I wrote, like some collective energy impact with this full moon. Number one is going to be heightened emotions and intuition. So, full moons are always a time of heightened energy, but Pisces especially. Okay, so Pisces specifically is ruled by Neptune, and Neptune is what governs dreams, and it governs our subconscious, and it kind of governs our spirituality, the connection we have to the divine, what we believe in, whatever that is. And so the eclipse here is going to really amplify these qualities. So think of like when something is eclipsed, right? Like it shows you where the shadows are. It shows you where the blocks are. It shows you how you can bring more breakthroughs to your life. But that means that there probably is going to be some heightened sensitivity, and a call or like a tug to really listen to your inner voice. So if you're feeling like a heightened intuition, if you're feeling a heightened anxiety, if you're feeling a heightened sensitivity, it's definitely because of this full moon and this eclipse. You also might find yourself like dreaming. Like I know during Pisces full moons and Pisces season, I have the most, like the craziest lucid dreams. Like I literally am like a prophet in my dreams, and I have these like big, brilliant ideas. So I feel like every day during this season, I'm like texting people being like, I had a dream about you. You need to do this today. Um, and so a lot of emphasis on my dreams, intuitive hits, emotional kind of like undercurrents, or, uh, what you how your emotions are being affected. Okay, so the other energy impact that I want you to pay attention to is, what are you healing and what are you letting go? Pisces is the end of the zodiac. So the zodiac starts with Aries, ends with Pisces. And so Pisces really does, in a lot of ways, represent completion. It represents surrender. It represents release. And so eclipse energy here with a full moon is going to support healing the deep shit, like the stuff that is deeply ingrained into you, that you have this like final opportunity to kind of release it during this eclipse season. So any emotional wounds you have, any subconscious trauma you have, outdated beliefs, right? Any situations, I think like politically, we're going to see a lot of people kind of like, maybe people that were like very liberal that are now not so liberal. We're going to see a lot of people like coming out and really speaking their beliefs and showing how their beliefs have changed over time. It could also be people that once were very conservative that are now very liberal. I think pay attention to politically. You're going to see a lot of surprises when it comes to like what people believe in and how outspoken they are about that. But overall, we're going to be kind of having a spiritual renewal, which definitely is a time for forgiveness. It's definitely a time for compassion and also like closure. So another thing to be aware of is any tendency to escapism that you have, or any lack of boundaries. So Pisces energy sometimes can like kind of blur the line between what is real and what is fantasy, what is actually happening, what is just in our heads. And this can sometimes lead to like escapism or like disassociation, some confusion. And during the full moon and the eclipse season, there might be a kind of a collective need for all of us to recognize where we're avoiding reality. So where we're just kind of like lacking boundaries, or where like maybe this has to do with your money. Like maybe you've been like overspending lately and you're like, it's fine. Like I believe in an abundant mindset, but like actually you haven't paid your taxes and you have a ton of bills due, and like that's not good. So really paying attention to where you haven't been living in reality and kind of like allowing yourself and forcing yourself to come back to the present. But this can also manifest as the way to pull away from things if you're feeling too intense or it's feeling too overwhelming. So just pay attention to where you may be disassociating, because it's usually in that area that you're disassociating where like the deepest healing needs to happen. So use the disassociation, use any escapism, use any avoiding that you're doing to kind of give you hints as to where you could be healing and releasing more. And then the fourth collective kind of energetic impact would be creative inspiration, spiritual growth. Because again, Pisces rules your imagination. It also rules creativity. It rules spirituality. And the full moon eclipse is probably going to inspire creative projects. There's going to be a lot of artistic expression, spiritual practices. So you might be drawn to things more like meditation, yoga, energetic healing. You may be also seeing a lot more of that, on social media or in your world. And I think that's just because many typically feel drawn to reconnect to themselves and their own spirituality, but also using their spirituality to explore new creative outlets, deepen connection to the universe, God, source, whatever you believe in. So, if you're feeling that pull, or if somebody in your life is feeling that pull, it's probably normal, and it's probably a really good thing, because when we reconnect to our spirituality and we reconnect to ourselves, we can reconnect to the collective in a far better way. So yeah, energetic impacts, heightened emotions, healing and letting go of the really deep-seated stuff, paying attention to where we're avoiding, where we're disassociating, how we're lacking boundaries, and using that as a signpost for where we can heal a little bit more. And then where are we feeling creative? How can we get reconnected to our spirituality? So now let's talk about like different astrological chart focuses. So anything on the Pisces Virgo axis. So this definitely includes me. Again, my north node is Pisces, my south node is Virgo. So this is a very powerful full moon eclipse for me. And it's going to highlight the balance between that spirituality, the fantasy world, and the practical world, the reality, which is Virgo. And so check where Pisces and Virgo are for you in your natal chart. So depending on what house they sit in, this is probably where your juxtaposition is happening right now. So if it's like a 4th and 10th house, it's going to be like the juxtaposition, like the fantasy and reality that has to do with like your home, but also like your career and public image. For me, it's on the 5th, 11th house axis, which is like my like children and like the 5th house energy, but with like service and my networks and communities of the 11th house. So for example, like let's say Pisces rules your 6th house. This is daily routines. This is health. This is service. So this eclipse could bring up some changes or some like realizations maybe that have been hiding in those areas. Where if maybe Virgo rules your 12th house, this is your subconscious, this is your spirituality, any hidden matters you have. So there might be a need to release like fears or emotional baggage in the areas of our subconscious. So pay attention to what houses Pisces and Virgo rule for you, what axis they're on, or if you have any placements in Pisces or Virgo. And then paying attention to Neptune and Mercury transits. So any transits you have in your chart that have to do with Neptune, which is the ruler of Pisces, and Mercury, which is the ruler of Virgo, Mercury's actually in its home sign of Virgo right now. So it's at home in Virgo. But look at the aspects that Neptune is making to your natal planets. So paying attention to like, do you have any Neptune aspects in your chart? And if there are challenging aspects, so challenging aspects would be like square, if anything is square to Neptune or opposite Neptune, this could indicate where you may have confusion. This could indicate where you may have like a disillusionment or a need for clearer boundaries. Where on the other side of that, if you have any trines or sextiles, which are harmonious aspects to Neptune, it may amplify spiritual growth and creative inspiration. Similar with Mercury, the ruler of Virgo, check where Mercury is transiting in your chart. So same thing. Do you have any squares or oppositions? This could be where you need more discernment, where you need more practical thinking, right? The other placements to pay attention to are my mutable signs. This is me, Sagittarius, Gemini, Virgo, Pisces. Any of the mutable signs or personal planets in the mutable signs. So this could be your big three or significant placements. You may feel this full moon a little bit more intensely. Mutable signs we're flexible, right? So we have adaptable energy, but that means that we can also be very scattered or unfocused. So if you consider grounding yourself into a spiritual routine, into a practical routine, and then allowing space for spirituality, then I said that wrong, didn't I? If you ground yourself into practical routines, so structure, that will allow for more spiritual exploration. So I did a podcast episode about this a couple weeks ago. I urge you to go back and listen to it, because it was all about how freedom for me has come through structure. And I have the Pisces Virgo axis between my north and south nodes. So finding structure in my daily routine is so important for me to allow for my spiritual growth. I cannot grow spiritually if I do not have practical routines. So my mutable signs, you may want to think about that as well. And then also think about 12th house, 6th house themes. So in a typical chart, 12th house is Pisces. It's the end of the zodiac. So it is at home in the 12th house. So if you have Pisces in your 12th house, it's at home there. But remember, again, Pisces deals with your subconscious. It deals with the dreams, and the 12th house rules with these things, or deals with these things as well. So releasing hidden fears, unconscious patterns, or anything that holds you back spiritually, if you have 12th house placements, especially if Pisces is in your 12th house. The 6th house, which is Virgo, is at home on the 6th house. It's the 6th house. It's the 6th planet or the 6th sign of the zodiac. It's all about health, daily habits, routines, discipline, service. So if you have 6th house placements, it might be a good time to refine your daily practices, focus on your health, focus on your wellness, offer skills in service to others. So just some tips as I wrap this up, to kind of recap on different chart focuses. Remember, Pisces, Virgo axes. So pay attention to where Pisces and Virgo are in your chart. Pay attention to where Neptune and Mercury are in your chart, or any aspects to Neptune or Mercury. And remember that challenging aspects like squares or oppositions, and then the difference between that and then the harmonious aspects, which are trines and sextiles. And then mutable signs are going to be more affected by this full moon eclipse. And then same thing with like 12th and 6th house placements and themes. So to wrap us up, here are my top tips for you to like really, really hone in and like maximize the effects of a full moon in Pisces, but also like to really like make this eclipse your bitch. Mindfulness and meditation. I really highly recommend like doing some meditation, some journaling tonight, breath work, releasing things that are no longer serving you. But also just being really present in your body, being very present in your spiritual practices so that you can release what no longer serves you. Don't forget about practicality. Like, obviously, delusion is amazing. And I do believe that Delulu is the only Solulu, but Delulu can't happen unless you're grounded and unless you actually are paying attention to the facts. So really staying grounded in your practicality and in your structure is going to help you feel so much more grounded during this full moon. And then, get creative, get into play, like do more writing, dance, art, music, something that allows you to be self-expressed, like fully self-expressed. Maybe this is a time where you get a tarot reading. Maybe this is a time where you book a human design reading. Hi, I sell those. Maybe this is a time you book an astrology reading. Hi, I sell those as well. If you go to my website, you'll see two different ones. One is like human design and astrology branding, which is like more for like, if you want to know how it applies to business. But if you just want like an overall chart reading, all of my readings have to do with human design and astrology. And we do some tarot and we do some card pulls as well. So it's kind of all encompassing. Today would be a great day to book that. And you can find those on my website on the Work With Me tab, or click the link in our show notes. But diving into something like this could be really, really cool for you today. And remember that the eclipse season has just started. So we're going to have a lot of eclipse over the next few months. And this Pisces energy is really going to stay with us for pretty much the whole week. So it's heightened today because today is the full moon, but you might have already started to feel it and you're going to feel it for a few more days. So really just like honor this time and use it to both grow, but also ground yourself and release what is no longer serving you. I hope this is helpful. I love you and I'll see you next week.